time machine and wait.
That's not a question!
Questions! I need answers!
Hey everybody, Crow back with another QQQAAA video, questions and answers. Before I forget and say it at the end of the video, at the beginning of the video, I'll say, if you have a question for me, I have a link in the description that takes you to a Google form that you could simply just ask your question to, and it just fills it out in a form, spreadsheet, so I could just read it off like I'm going to do now. I did get quite a few questions since the last video, that's why it seems like I'm doing it a lot sooner than the last time I did it, but maybe it's been about a month, maybe half a month, I don't know, I'm not really keeping track. But yeah, since the last video, there have been a lot of questions, so let me get through them. So, first one is from Heyman. Let's see, Heyman. He actually did the question right before. He did the last question I did in the last video too. Now it's the first question in this video. Cloud is in Smash Brothers. How awesome is that? That actually took me by surprise. Like, it really surprised me because it was something I totally was not expecting. And for starters, when you think like games that would be in a Smash Brothers, or characters that would be in a Smash Brothers game, Cloud Strife is not one of them that springs to mind. And even if it does spring to mind, you think, well, that's not going to happen, because I usually associate Cloud Strife and other Final Fantasy VII characters with Sony. And I was talking to my friend about this, and I was saying, I don't even think that Cloud Strife has been in a game on a Nintendo console. But then he was saying, well, there are Kingdom Hearts games on the DS. It was on the, I think the first one was like on the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance, the DS, and the 3DS, I think 3DS. But, and Cloud had probably shown up in there. But typically when you think Cloud Strife and Final Fantasy VII characters, they, you don't think Nintendo at all. So, if Cloud is going to be in a Smash Brothers game, I think all bets are off. I think any video game character could pop their head in at any moment now. And at this point, I don't know if I'd be surprised to see Nathan Drake. It might be going a little too far. Kratos. Seeing as how the PlayStation All-Star game did so great. Anyway, yeah, I've been buying all the downloadable content for Smash Brothers, except for the costumes, just the characters. I've been buying characters and stages, just to expand the game. And typically, I wouldn't really approve of that, but since it's it's kind of like a free-for-all game, I don't think it needs to be too terribly well balanced. I think that's acceptable for a game like that. And anybody that tries to play, like, I know that Smash Brothers Melee was, what a lot of people played for tournaments and stuff, but I think that's just taking the game way too seriously for what it is. And it just boggles my mind if you go to play online, there's people that are, like, always have to play Final Destination, always have to be flat. Come on, that kind of sucks the fun out of it for me. For me, playing that game was, playing in a room with a group of people and just chaos on screen all the time. That was fun. Let's move on to the next question. From All Hail the Legs. Hey Crow, what games have you felt most immersed in or lost yourself in? RPGs, etc. Actually, I had read these questions beforehand, and I was thinking about this one for a while. There's only really two games that have really immersed me to the point where I got lost in them. And if I had foresight, I would have brought them here. But let me edit and pop them in right now. And bam, here I am with the games I totally got immersed in. As you can see, they're kind of more, we got the Tempest X3. I think almost any of the Tempest games I get lost in. But I played this one the most, and it seemed I get like where you totally don't even like see anything that's going around outside your vision of the screen. You just all of a sudden you snap out of it and you're like, oh whoa, I didn't even realize I wasn't paying attention to anything. So Tempest X-Ray, I just totally get lost in that game. It's really trippy. And then I know I said two games, but these are all the Luminous games. Well, at least all the Luminous games that I have. I think there's Luminous Plus on the PlayStation 2 that I don't have. But playing this with the music and everything, this game kind of put you in a trance too. So I kind of really zone out with these games as well. As for other games, action-based games, I find like in action-based games, I don't get so like into them. I don't notice my surroundings as much. These are the games, the trippy, trancy games. Those are the ones that can hypnotize you, and you just totally lose track of everything around you except the game. And off the top of, from what I was thinking about it, those were the games that did that. Let's move on. Next question is from NMFN21. Have you ever gotten in a fist fight in your life? And if so, what happened to start the fight, and what is the outcome? Actually, I've never been in a fist fight in my life. There have been times where it's come pretty damn close to it, but those get kind of intervened before anything can happen. So no. And the second question is irrelevant. And again, it's not, this is stuff that's happened, like, this is like, grade school, high school stuff. I've never even come close to a fist fight after high school. So, yeah. Next question. The Pirate Gamer Boy 12. What's your favorite Genesis game? I personally love the Granada, Gaiares, Rocket Knight Adventures, etc. Etc. could be like every game on the system. But, I didn't really think about this question. I'm not too much of a Genesis gamer, I guess. I don't like using that word gamer, but I guess I'll use it here. I didn't have a Genesis growing up. I had a Super Nintendo. When I say growing up, this was about high school. I did swap my Super Nintendo with somebody else's Genesis for a while. I did have the Nomad, but again, I've never really been into the Genesis games. I do have a Genesis collection, which I moved. Where did I put it? Oh, that's right. I moved it where my Blu-rays used to be. I'm going to check that collection out really quick to see if there's anything that really jumps out at me. Alright, came back with a stack of Genesis games here. Now, when I say they're my favorite, they're games that I really, really like. Again, there's not a game in the Genesis library that I played really extensively. So, this is what I got. Got these three here, all related. Thunder Force 2, 3, and Lightning Force, that's this one, which is actually Thunder Force 4, renamed for some odd reason. Again, we have the Sonic games. I always enjoy the Sonic games, even though I really suck at them, because, again, I didn't play them. Again, I was playing Mario when these games came out. I played all the Mario games. I left Sonic behind. You mentioned Gaiares. I do like Gaiares, but I have not really, again, haven't played any of these really extensively. And then I do like Flicky, and believe it or not, I like Altered Beast on the Genesis. I really do. So yeah, it's funny is that out of all these games, I've probably played Altered Beast the most. I know some of you are being like, what the hell, you played Altered Beast more than Sonic? And for whatever reason, that is true. So let's move on to the next question from Thomas Harrison Lord. Hey, Crow111. Have you noticed a trend for some smaller digital games moving to a physical release? And if so, are you more tempted to pick them up? I've noticed Teslagrad, Ether 1, Tower of Guns, Shovel Knight, Journey, and more are now available on disc, and found myself more interested in these titles simply because I can grab a disc copy to collect and or play through and then sell on to get some money back upon completion. Keep up the channel. I will keep up the channel. But yeah, I am more likely to pick up a physical copy of a game than a digital one. In fact, with the way things are now, probably I'm just really hesitant to buy anything digital. And it's for the reasons you said. What if I don't like the game? I'm stuck with it. I can't get rid of it. Like anything that I bought on Black Friday in the store, if I happen to not like it, I could resell it and make back at least some of my money, even if it's $1. Again, the other thing I don't like about digital games is that digital games get lost in your so-called collection. I don't consider digital games to be actually part of my collection. I do keep a running database of my games, and I don't put the digital games in there because I'm stuck with them. these people that I'm going to say these people because some of these people are probably watching, but and that could be me in the future too. But with Steam, with the deals, buying games left and right, you wind up with a list of games so long that you don't know what you've got anymore. So yeah, also, this even goes back to when they started selling MP3s. I couldn't believe that people would buy an MP3 because you're not getting anything. If you buy the CD, you could rip it and have the MP3 as well as the disc. So I just don't understand purchasing digital goods, because why would I pay for something if I could pirate it and get exactly the same thing? I mean, at least when I'm buying a real retail copy, I'm getting a disc, I'm getting a box, that's something I like. But when you're buying something digital, you're getting exactly the same thing you can steal with no effort. Honestly, I know it's not ethical. And I don't go around stealing games, but honestly, that's why piracy is rampant, really. Is because, a lot of people are like, well, why would I buy the digital copy of the game when I could just download it from this torrent site and get exactly the same thing for free? But yeah, and that's another reason why I'm kind of surprised a lot of people are into the digital content. Because think about it, when people wanted to get upgrade their PS3s to PS4s or their Xbox 360s to Xbox Ones, and you had just bought nothing but digital content, well, you've got nothing to sell except for that system. Either that, if you're not a collector. I mean, obviously, if you're a collector, you want to keep everything, and you would be buying physical games anyway. But everybody that's buying games digitally, on Steam, I can see that, because you could upgrade your computer, you could get a new computer, and that account goes with you. But if you're buying all your PS3 games digitally, and then you upgrade to a PS4, well, guess what? You can't transfer those games over. And if you wanted to sell your PS3 to, get some money to pay for that PS4, well, you're just throwing away all those games that you just bought. Not just bought, but you bought digitally. And that was the thing when I was a kid. I mean, obviously this doesn't apply to me now, seeing as how I've got a job and I've got the money to pay for whatever I need, or not need, but want. And I shouldn't say, like, I'm not rolling in money either. But say Nintendo's NX system comes out next year, whatever it is, and I decide I want to buy it. Yeah, I don't have to worry about, hey, I'm going to sell my Wii U to afford buying a Nintendo NX, however much it winds up being. But when you're a kid, when you're younger, if you're tighter on money, you want to get all the money back that you can if you're going to just abandon the system and go with the newer one. But if you're abandoning a system and your games are digital, well, you're abandoning all those games too. You could really only sell the system, for what it's worth, unless you somehow sell your account too. That's a thing, I suppose. But again, I don't know. If it was me on the buying end, I wouldn't want to buy somebody's digital account. Seems kind of crappy to me. And also, again, I'm not going to get any further into it. There's a whole other argument, digital games versus physical games. And I think it's pretty clear where I stand. However, I will, from time to time, buy digital games. So, yeah. Getting back to the question, though, you may or may not know there's a company called Limited Run Games. I know that they have just released one PS Vita game recently. It was available digital only. Their goal is to get the indie game. Maybe they're not indie games. I think they are indie games that would have been released digitally. If they did good enough digitally, they'll release a limited run of physical copies. And when we say limited, I'm saying between 1,000 and 2,000, I think. And I think the next one they're doing is one I'm going to jump on. It's called Saturday Morning RPG. Apparently this is out for all the systems, but again, it's a thing. There's so many digital games, they all get lost. It's only the ones that are really, 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 I'm not going to say good, I'm going to say get really, really popular, that like float up and grabs everybody's attention. Things like Angry Birds, Minecraft, and Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight did get a physical release, and I did buy that. And I wasn't going to buy it unless it was released physically. So there you go. Next question. Ryan, what do Joel and Mike eat and breathe in space?
You're wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts. Then repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
Well, that answers that question. Next question is from Dan. Do you think the NX is coming out too soon? Does Nintendo really need to make a new system this fast? I can't even answer that question because, honestly, everybody's speculating about the NX. It's being obviously it's being released next year, but it's hard for me to get excited about it when nobody knows what it is. Is it a new handheld? Is it a new console? Is it a mix between the both? Who knows? When did the Wii U release? I don't know. I don't even remember. Was it 2012? I think it was 2012. Let's ask Google. Okay, Google. When was the Wii U released?
Wii U was introduced in 2012.
There you go. Wii U is only 3 years old at this point. Now, it's not really unheard of for a company to come out with a new system. Like if it was going to be a new console, I would assume it would be it wouldn't be released till next year. And that would give the Wii U a 4-year lifespan. But think about this: that Sega had been pumping out systems quicker than that, and hopefully Nintendo doesn't make the same mistakes Sega did. But I don't think it's going to be a replacement for the Wii U. I don't. And if it is, I don't see it being released next year. It might be a new handheld. It might be a combination handheld, something that you hook up to your television type of deal. I don't know. It's all speculation. That's all anybody has at this point. I want more details before I say, hey, you're coming out too early with this. But even if they did come out with it, like I said, I'd probably buy it because Nintendo's got me hooked with the amiibos, and they're coming out with really good titles. I mean, right there on my account, I'm looking at 4 games right now: Yoshi's Woolly World, Super Mario Maker, Super Smash Brothers, and the Amiibo Festival. Believe it or not, me and my wife have been playing that a lot. May have gotten bad reviews, but again, I don't see how it could have gotten good reviews. It's just a game to sit back and relax. It's not meant for online play. You have to be just 2. All right, let's get back to the questions here. Next question. So, you don't like beer. Have you tried Not Your Father's root beer yet? It may be up your taste alley if you don't like beer. It's damn good. Well, you know what? I'll look for it. But you know what? That question kind of made me thirsty. So, let me open that up. Oh yeah. By the way, I have heard of it. Actually, it's kind of funny because I bought this before I read your question. You actually sent this question before I bought it, but I'm looking at the wrong month. But I was at Walmart on Black Friday and I was waiting in line to check out, and I happened to see this in the aisle. I didn't realize it was alcoholic, and I saw the price on it. And I was like, $10. It was like $9.99 or something like that for a 6-pack. I'm like, that seems a lot for root beer. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's alcoholic root beer. And so I picked it up. And actually, this is the 3rd one out of that I've tried. And yeah, it's actually quite good. I don't know if this counts as beer. Really, this seems more like an alcoholic soda. And I was really hesitant to even buy this because I haven't really drank soda in such a long time. I mean, I do occasionally, like maybe twice a year, drink a root beer or something like that. But I don't drink soda. I only stick with iced tea and water. But this I had to try, and it is good. So Yeah. Hang on a second. I gotta answer a text here. I'm making a video. Oops. There we go. Let's move on. Next question is from Anon. So my job has an opening in Chicago and they are pushing me to transfer there. I have never been in Illinois. Any tips for living in the city or a suburb of it? Will I meet any John Hughes characters if I live in the suburbs? Well, you know what? I have been living around the Chicago land area for quite some time. I couldn't honestly tell you. I'm probably a John Hughes character. I don't know. You know, you can't see what's in front of your face, so it may be take an outsider's view to pinpoint those John Hughes characters. But tips for living in the city? Okay, yeah, don't. It's expensive. Honestly, don't. I don't drive to Chicago. If I go downtown, I don't drive. I take the train. Parking, if you drive, is like at least $25 for a lot. I don't know about the meters on the side of the street. Yeah, I'm not really a city person. I'm more of a suburb person. I don't really know if I have any tips for living in the suburbs. Suburbs are suburbs. Just if you can avoid it, don't live in Cook County. That's, I mean, taxes are crazy here. I think it's nearly 11% at this point. Let me see. In Cook County, what's my tax again? I'm looking at the receipt. Oh, well, that's something different. Because, you know, if you're outside of Illinois to begin with, some states have the flat tax. It's the same tax throughout the state. But Illinois works differently. Illinois has their tax, and then the county puts their tax on top of that, and then the city puts their own tax on top of that. And that's why the tax rate in Chicago is, I think, if it's not 11%, it's pretty damn close to it at this point. So yeah, if you could live outside the Cook County area, that'd be great. It'd be more cost effective. Live somewhere like Naperville or Rockford. Those are better places, and you're pretty close to Chicago. In fact, I live pretty damn close to Chicago, but I work in Naperville, and that's like a 23-mile drive for me every day. So, and it's really nothing. It's like a 35-minute drive to work and back when it's not when the streets aren't bad. Let's move on to the next question. Down OBO. Do you ever think we'll see companies like Nintendo and Sony working together again, but in a major way? Let's start that one over. Do you ever think we'll see companies like Nintendo and Sony working together again, but in a major way, like a system? But in a major way, like a system, but a small partnership, like new IPs or cross-platform stuff. You know what? Anything. The sky's the limit. And here's what shattered my perception of these things, and that is seeing Sega games on a Nintendo console. It was so surreal for me to see Crazy Taxi on a Nintendo GameCube, because that was a Sega game. That was on the Dreamcast, and then all of a sudden the next year it was on the GameCube, and it's something. Still, sometimes I see that and I'm like, man, these guys were advertising against the hell out of one another, and now there's Sega games on a Nintendo console. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? You know, Sony could again provide audio chips for Nintendo in some fashion, either for a handheld or a new system. You never know. You know what? It just, you don't know what's going to happen. Let's move on. From Ghoul Neighbor, Ryu or Ken? I usually pick Ken, and it's usually because he's got that flaming uppercut. Ryu has the more powerful fireballs, but Ken has the more powerful Shoryuken. So yeah, I usually go with Ken. Next question from Day of Daniel. Damn it, another text message. Oh, it's nothing. Is the FPS craze of yearly trash games like Call of Duty and Battlefield on the way anytime soon? Actually, I don't know. Probably not. But again, if it's something you don't like, why even pay attention to it? Does it matter? Nope. Yeah, just really, it doesn't make sense to badmouth games if they're popular, because there's plenty of other games out there for people who don't like those games to enjoy. So it's not like, what would these companies be making if they didn't make those games? I don't know. Would they be making something that you like? Maybe, but you'd never know because they're making those games. You just don't know. Don't think those games are on the way out anytime soon. But again, if you don't like those games, why even pay attention to them? Moving on to the next question. Not Phil Collins. Did you ever think you'll see the day? Did you think you'll ever... It's funny. It's the first 100 times I read this question, I read it wrong, and now I'm reading it the right way. Did you ever think you'd see Did you ever think you'd live to see the day where mobile games for phones have at least 10 times the commercial ads for more video games on console or PC? Every other ad is for a mobile game. No, but it's not really something I thought about. Again, I'm thinking back to the days when the only game on a phone was Snake, and we used to beg for to see my dad's phone and stuff like, "Oh, can I play Snake on your phone?" And when I had that Nokia, whatever it was, my first cell phone had the Snake game on it, and it was the only game. Again, you just play that, and then you know what? I started getting games on mobile phones and stuff like that. But now, yeah, I know what you're getting with the ads on the phones, because, like, the Angry Birds, I finally finished all the levels in the first Angry Birds. I went to the next Angry Birds game, and it was like ads. Okay, I deleted that game. Went to the next Angry Birds game. Ads. Went to the next Angry Birds game. They just keep advertising for all their other games. I'm not having any of that. I deleted it. Pinball Arcade is really good with that because, you're paying for it, so there's no ads for that. Honestly, though, if you're playing free mobile games, you got to expect the ads. The annoyance is where you're paying for a game and you're still seeing ads. That, to me, is unacceptable. But for free games, I think you got to accept the ads. So, yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Because... even the free games like you might get on... I remember playing some free games on the Xbox 360 way back when, but basically those were ads. Like, there was that dinosaur Dorito game. Again, tell me that's not an ad for Doritos. So, yeah, if it's a free game, yeah, you're gonna see ads. It's not... I would be surprised if you didn't. Let's move on. Next question. RFG123. Did you play Warcraft 1 and 2 as a teen? What did you think of the movie trailer? And, to be honest, the question kind of surprised me when I first read it because I didn't even know they were making a Warcraft movie. And secondly, I still haven't even sought out to look to watch it. I don't know how interesting it could be. Again, we are talking about a video game movie here, so how good could it be? And did I play Warcraft 1 and 2 as a teen? I've actually played Warcraft 2. That was actually the first LAN game that I ever played on PC. And as a kid, as a teen, I was probably about 17 or 18 when that came out. So, yeah, I actually played it. But again, here, past Warcraft 2, I couldn't play anything else. I tried Warcraft 3. I played StarCraft. I played Command and Conquer. I never grasped any of those games. I was always terrible at them. So I have a tendency not to play real-time strategy games at all. And that includes tower defense games. I don't play those. They're not my cup of tea, as it were. Let's move on. Next question from Monster Rancher 19. This really isn't a question.
That's not a question!
But you should start every new QQQAAA with trying a new beer that you've never heard of. That'd be cool. No, I'm probably not going to drink again, ever, in any of these videos. I'm thirsty. That's good. Let's move on. This is from Francis. Off the top of your head, name 5 games that have amazing god-tier soundtracks in your opinion. Not just a couple good tunes, but the majority of the game's soundtrack. Now, kind of cheated because you asked this question on November 20th, so I don't know when I actually read it, but I've probably been thinking about it for a couple of weeks already. But to be honest, I didn't write anything down. I did just trying to keep it in my head. Honestly, a couple of those games are right here. Now that I think about it, earlier I talked about these games, these Luminous games. I know it's not just one game, but the entire series, the music, fantastic in there. And also, again, I was thinking about this one, the Tempest X3, and almost all the Tempest games in general, aside from the first one since it had no soundtrack. Really, really excellent music. I gotta go with games in the Wipeout series. Fantastic music. Space Channel 5, parts 1 and 2. That is just fantastic. And I bought the soundtrack set. What's weird about Space Channel 5 is that there's actually more soundtracks for those games than there are games. I'd say the music in the Tekken series is fantastic also. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, I drive in my car a lot, and these are, music from these games pop up in my car all the time. So, we're talking about Tekken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the Tekkens have great music. I would be really disappointed if I didn't mention the Guilty Gear series. Fantastic, really, really great music. And in fact, I bought Guilty Gear Xrd. I bought the limited edition. It came with the soundtrack. Wow, that is one of the best video game soundtrack discs that I ever got. It's in my, again, this is something whenever a track pops up in my car, man, I love it. And I'm talking about, I have like 3,000 songs in my car or whatever on a USB drive. And whenever Guilty Gear comes up, I gotta listen to it. It's great. Because sometimes you're just flipping through songs. Yeah, I don't want to listen to that one right now. Not that one. Not that one. And then Guilty Gear comes on. Yeah, I'm listening to this. I think that's 5. And I know there's so many games with great soundtracks, but I think I'm going to leave it at that. Leave well enough alone. I'm pretty sure that was 5 or more. Probably 5. Next question. Price A64. What were some of them? Price A64. What were some of the worst, boring games that you've ever owned? Wow. That's a tough one to answer because I probably have not. I've gotten rid of it. I may have to put this on hold to think about it for a second. You know what? This is a very difficult question for me to answer because I don't have those games anymore. They obviously would not have survived the purge, but worst games. I'm gonna say, like, I had at some point a lot of shovelware on the Wii, and maybe it wasn't a lot of shovelware, maybe it wasn't even necessarily shovelware, but things like I don't know, the sports things. I don't know. I still have Wii Play. That's kind of not that great. Man, I didn't like that Buck Rogers game on the Genesis. I do have a Crow Plays of that, and maybe it's unfair to that game just because I didn't know how to play it. I can't answer the question. I can't think of it. Can't really think of anything. I am. Yeah. Sorry, I gotta pass on this one. I did give you one answer, but I did have Mortal Kombat at one point. Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy. So let's go with that. I had Mortal Kombat on Game Boy. Don't ask me why I had it. I don't have it anymore. But let's move on. HDMI 834. I've been thinking of getting LASIK surgery. How has it worked out for you? Very well. It worked out great. But the thing you got to remember is that it is surgery. So there is a small chance something could go wrong. And it really depends on there are different types of LASIK. if you get the cheaper, there's the cheap LASIK, there's the expensive LASIK, and there's the in-between in price. And that's what I had, was the in-between in price, where it was like about $2,000 per eye. But I did have an FSA set up, and I pretty much saved up for about a year before I had it done. But I don't regret it. It's just, some discomfort after, for like a couple days or a week after you do it, because your eye, it does feel like you have sand in your eyes a little bit after, but after the first couple of weeks, oh man, I've been wearing glasses since I was like in first grade, and I had LASIK done almost 2 years ago. It's been almost 2 years, and as soon as it was done, I was always wearing contacts. But my contacts were always annoying me. So that's what triggered me wanting to get LASIK, was because my contacts were not comfortable anymore. I used to be able to, I had the ones where you could wear them for like 6 days straight, and I used to be able to do that, no problem, but all of a sudden it was like I had to take them out every day, and I never liked wearing glasses, never. And so when it happened, when I got it done, and I finally got past that hump of, the sensitive eyes, being really careful not to get anything in your eyes and everything, it's been so great. I do not miss wearing glasses or contacts at all. It's like, to me, it's like it never happened. I don't even remember what it was like. That's how much I hated it. It completely blocked it from my memory. So yeah, it's worked out for me very good. But again, depending on your situation, your mileage may vary. So next question, it's funny, is that this one was asked today. Like today. like right before I started this video, this question popped up, and it's from Anon again. Are you going to import Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3? Ignore all the bullcrap surrounding its release. It's a mess. Yeah, I know. What kind of bullshit is that? I hate when, if I don't like something, I don't go around telling people that they shouldn't enjoy that game either. I mean, I had no intentions of ever picking up Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3. I'd never picked up the other 3 games in the series. There was the first one, the second one, and then the one on the PSP. So this is the 4th game, pretty much, with that title. I like the Dead or Alive games. The Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball games, yeah, not so much. I never had that much interest in them. Again, this is great advertising for them too, because people are like, oh, I didn't even know that game was coming out. You mean I gotta import it? Oh yeah, I'll import it. But yeah, it's like, I don't like coffee, but you don't see me standing outside of Starbucks protesting that they stop selling coffee. Yeah, it's like you said, it's a mess, and it's not, it's like, of all the things, it's like, oh, I don't like this, so you shouldn't like that either. Don't tell people what to think. That's ridiculous. But yeah, that was the last question. Let's end it. Thanks everyone for watching. See you all next time. Bye.